All right. Good evening. We'll call to order the March 19th meeting of Poquoson City School Board. Thatcher?
If you would all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for a moment of silence. Thank you. And now to begin this meeting with a quote. "The only impossible journey is the journey you have yet to begin," by Anthony Robbins. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Firth, are there any additions and/or modifications to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. As a matter of order, just for everybody, so they know, Thatcher's not up here tonight because he has a soccer game he has to go to, so things are going to be a little bit different as far as order goes. We're going to let him go. We have 55 students to recognize tonight. We're all glad you're here. Thanks for coming. And then Thatcher will go, and then we'll proceed into our regular meeting. I also would like to just take a minute to welcome Ms. Heather Hayes Lockerman, who is one of our attorneys from the Sands Anderson Law Firm, here with us tonight. All right. And Ms. Purdy, we'll go ahead and get started with recognitions.
Thank you, Madam the Chair, members of the board. Thank you for joining us this evening, and all of our community members. As Chair Martin said, we do have a lot to recognize. The first is our March Senior of the Month. Our March Senior of the Month is a very outgoing young woman who has definitely made the most of her time here at Poquoson High School. From academics to sports to clubs and honor societies, her time management skills have had to be top tier in order to fit it all in. In the classroom, this young lady has earned a 4.16 GPA, has challenged herself with numerous advances in honors, advanced placement, and dual enrollment courses. And due to her efforts, she has attained membership in the Math Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, and the National Honor Society, where she presently serves as historian. Outside of the classroom, she is an active member of the Chick-fil-A Leadership Club, Excel Club, Student to Student, Key Club, and the FCA. She has also served as the SCA class president for the past 4 years. Additionally, you can always find this girl in uniform in some sort, as she's a member of the varsity volleyball, basketball, and softball teams. You may have seen her out in the community working for Captain Harrell's. This young woman plans to attend James Madison University in the fall, where she intends to study architecture. Please join me in congratulating Miss Adelaide Jane Smith, our March Senior of the Month.
Have my life jacket on. Do you want me to
Stay in the game. He doesn't have to win.
And maybe take one for so the glare is not bad. Congratulations. Thank you. The PH Swip team did very well at state competition this year, with the boys team ending their season as state runner-up. Additionally, the 400 free relay team, which consisted of Tony DeVries, Landon Owens, Jack Sebring, and Dylan Robinson, took first place in state, and Tony DeVries took home an additional state championship in the 100 free. Congratulations to everyone. When I call your name, can you please step forward? Tony DeVries. Daniel Lund. Landon Owens. Dylan Robinson. Jack Sebring. Coach Barry and Coach Altman. Do you mind taking the remainder ones? Thank you. At the recent state championships, our high school track team showcased remarkable talent and dedication. Elizabeth Tran secured her status as a two-time state champion in both the 1,600-meter and the 3,200-meter events, while Baker Green not only clinched the state title in the 300-meter, but also set a new state record. Additionally, Baker also received runner-up in the 55-meter. Our girls 4x400 relay team comprised of Lexi Peshahanov, Hannah Godsey, Ashlyn Jones, and Zoe Kreisman achieved a season best time, earning them a well-deserved runner-up position. Furthermore, under the guidance of Coach Zach Campbell, our indoor girls track team secured a commendable 3rd overall, and the boys placed 5th. Please step forward as I call your name to receive your certificates. Zoe Kreisman. Hannah Godsey. Baker Green. Ashlyn Jones. Lexi Peshahanov. And Elizabeth Tran. Is your coach here? Coach Campbell? Okay. And would you mind coming forward too, please, child and all? Take one step forward so you're not in the...
Good shot. This will be fun.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations. Sorry, I got to shift gears. We have so many to recognize tonight. Okay, so for our wrestling, Poquoson's wrestling team had another extremely successful season as the team placed 2nd in the Liberty Christian Invitational, 3rd in the Colin E. Baker at Great Bridge High School, 1st in the 2A regional tournament, and 2nd in the AA state tournament. The team also finished the season with a dual meet record of 8-2 and route to winning the Virginia Duels. All of this leads up to the wrestling team qualifying 11 wrestlers for the state tournament this year. Of those 11, 9 wrestlers placed in the top 6 with 5 finalists and 3 state champions. It should be noted that the wrestling team has finished 3rd place or better at the state tournament in 10 out of the last 11 seasons since 2013. Let us now recognize those wrestlers who finished in the top 2 of the state. As I call your name, please come forward. Cam Harrell. Cam is a sophomore and placed 2nd in state at the 106-pound weight class and finished season with a 31-5 record. He took 1st at the Ocean Lakes Invitational and was the Bay Rivers District Champion and Region 2A Champion. I didn't give you the right one. Okay, we're going to do these that are in alphabetical order, so my apologies. No, stay up here. Yeah, stay up here, yeah. You'll be in the T1. Logan Kesey. Logan is a sophomore who placed 2nd in state at the 113-pound weight class with a record this year of 25-11, taking 2nd in the Bay Rivers District Tournament and Region 2A Tournament. Jared Goodson. Jared is a sophomore and claimed his 2nd state championship. Jared wrestled this year in the 126-pound weight class, and he took 1st at the Colin E. Baker and LCA Invitational, as well as Bay Rivers District and Region 2 champion. Brian Latta. Brian is a sophomore and brought home his 1st state championship in the 138-pound weight class. Brian posted a record of 26-9 this season and also took 1st place at the LCA Invitational and Region 2A Tournament. Congratulations. Reed Booth. Reed is a sophomore who also brought home his first state championship in the 144-pound weight class. Reed had a season record of 29.9 and took first place at the LCA Invitational and Region 2A tournament. As a team, Poquoson High School Wrestling took second in the state. Now I ask that those who attended the state wrestling competition come forward as I call your name. Braden Agnes. Reed Booth. Jared Goodson. Brian Lotta. Cam Harrell. Logan Kesey. Christian Leonard. Keith Reynolds. Cam Stowers. Keegan Webb. And Ashton Withrow. I want to also recognize their coach, Eric Decker, and assistant coaches Donald Booth, Scott Brown, Ross Graham, Richard Harrell, Mike McCormick, Patrick McCormick, Glenn Parks, and Kendall Rydnor. If you could also please come forward. Please join me in congratulating all of our student athletes and their coaches for another successful season. Can I have the coaches maybe stand in the back and the students in the front?
We need a bigger room, no question.
Everybody settle? There we go. There you go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And one more time. I was commenting we need a bigger room. We just have so many incredible athletes. Congratulations to everybody. I also would like to recognize at this time our Scholastic Bowl. The Poquoson High School's Academic Challenge team, which is a VHSL team, has also been doing incredibly well. And this year, they've been advancing through Battle of the Brains as well as finding success in local and regional competitions. Last month, the team took to Jamestown High School for the state competition and took second overall in the state. I happened to be there, and I can attest that their collective knowledge is quite astounding. We also want to highlight from the state competition one team member who also was named part all-state team for answering 37 questions correctly. Congratulations to Ms. Tatum Smith. And as I say your names, please come forward to be recognized. Seniors Taylor Jones, Evelyn Murphy, and Tatum Smith. Juniors Christopher Hicks, Jude Purdy, sophomores AJ Lumajgui, and Carlton Gill. I also would like to ask Mr. Coach Flynn to step forward so that I can highlight him. He has been the Academic Challenge Team's coach for 25 years, which is quite amazing. Thank you for your service.
I don't know if anybody remembers Tom and Bonnie Fay here in the community. Tom built this program. Things aren't going real well. I just hope that somebody lets them know that we're thinking about them. Thanks, Tatum.
Take one step forward. There we go. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. And then we're fine. Congratulations. there's one recognition tonight that we are not going to be able to cover, as that student who was named part of the All-State Virginia Band, he had a soccer game tonight, so we're actually going to push that to next month. But lastly, many of the images used in tonight's presentation are a gift of Mr. Glenn Parker. And I want to take a brief moment to thank Mr. Parker, who's a staple in our community. He's been taking amazing pictures of Poquoson school events and has highlighted our athletes for years. Our players, coaches, and parents are extremely grateful for his work as he helps capture moments for us so that we can be in the moment as spectators as we watch our students perform. So on behalf of our entire community, I would like to give a round of applause for Mr. Glenn Parker. That concludes my recognitions for the evening.
Thank you. Thatcher?
Thank you. I would like to start off the usual report with the primary school. At PPS, the month of March has been filled with celebrations of reading and literacy. With Read Across America, Real Men Read, and our spring book fair, we also had a wonderful visit from Evan Stewart, the meteorologist from Channel 13, who shared his knowledge of weather and storms with our second graders. Tomorrow, all of our students will be treated to an assembly by the Rainbow Puppet Company focused on the wetlands, and all will go home with a new book. We were practicing safety all the time with students, and last week and this week, we did some of drills in our different locations. Last week, our lockdown drill was held while some students were in encores, and today, while some of our second grade friends were in the cafeteria. The students and staff did a fabulous job, even with the changes in shifts. We are very proud of them all. Our staff have taken advantage of several professional development opportunities to include the Virginia State Literacy Conference and a multilingual day at the College of William & Mary. As well, our Encore staff took advantage of some vertical articulation across the 4 schools, which was quite beneficial. We thank our school division for supporting these opportunities and our subs for covering our classrooms. For the elementary school report, the elementary school is off to a busy March. Poquoson Elementary promoted Read Across America with a Spirit Week, guest readers from the middle school, and our annual Real Men Read event. The PEF awarded Miss Turner, 5th grade teacher, and Miss Goss, 4th grade teacher, with PEF grant awards for instructional materials. Our math interventionist and math instructional coach planned math centers for each grade level and facilitated a math center day on Pi Day, which was the 14th. Our staff also brought in various pies to share on Pi Day to make the day even sweeter. Our PTO sponsored an author visit from Kim Norman and is also coordinating presentations from the Mobile Dairy. We have selected our teams for the Great Computer Challenge, and the PES Service Club sponsored a food drive to donate to Poquoson Parish's Thrift Shop Food Pantry. We are looking forward to our 3rd grade music performance this week, as well as our spring book fair and our family cultural nights upon the return from spring break. For the middle school report, exciting things are happening at Poquoson Middle School. We hosted the PMS Music, Arts, and CTE Showcase, where guests got to witness our students' musical talents, appreciate student artwork, and interact with students presenting projects completed through forensic science and CTE classes. It is truly a great evening, and we appreciate all those who were able to attend. The PMS Library has kicked off our Read Bingo Card Challenge to encourage students to read a variety of genres, including poetry, biographies, audiobooks, graphic novels, historical fiction, and more. Students who completed the challenge are entered into a drawing for a prize. Additionally, our March Book Madness began on the 1st. The top 16 most circulated books face off in a Sweet 16 bracket. There are new matches daily for students and staff to vote for the book they would rather read. At the end of the month, we will announce the winner as the most popular book at PMS of 2024. PMS also had a Read Across America Spirit Week and participated in a walking field trip to PES, where 39 middle schoolers volunteered to read to 11 different elementary school classes. Poquoson Middle School is preparing our 5th grade students to transition to middle school. This week, 5th graders are coming to visit PMS and receiving tours of the building from our Student Bull Island ambassadors, getting advice from middle schoolers on how to be successful, and practicing combination locks to prepare for lockers. We're excited to welcome our rising 6th graders. We are looking forward to our students cashing in their Golden Bull tickets before spring break. The All-In Boutique will be open on Thursday, March 28th for students to exchange Golden Bull tickets they have earned by demonstrating our school-wide expectations of being respectful, acting responsibly, and building resilience. Beginning in April, the middle school counselors will meet with every 8th grade student and or his or her parents. During these individual meetings, counselors review 9th grade course selections, help develop a 4-year plan for high school based on the student's individual career, interests, and post-secondary goals. Plans created in 8th grade are reviewed and updated annually with the high school student counselor until the student graduates. PMS would like to offer our congratulations to the following: our Odyssey of the Mind team for placing first in the Region 6 competition this past Saturday and wish them best of luck in the state tournament. Our core students, under the direction of Miss Rebecca Wade, received superior ratings in their state assessment on Friday. We wish our band students and Mr. Lawson the best of luck as they have their state assessment Thursday. Our March Golden Bull students of the month consist of Daniel Sasser for 6th grade, Lily Kleindinst for 7th grade, and Mary Council for 8th grade. And finally, for the high school report, the band has completed their pre-assessment and has their assessment at Lafayette High School tomorrow night. The chorus were assessed and achieved the highest rank of superior, so we congratulate them. The art program is very reluctant to receive their new kiln. Over 200 tickets were sold for the Spring Carnival, which went off as a success, including the Spirit Week and with the sophomores winning the Spirit Stick at the end of that. Mr. PHS was successful as per usual, and Dane Galactak was our winner. The history class was visited by Alex Kershaw, where the AP US History and some of the AP Euro students were introduced on some of his books about World War I and World War II. The juniors successfully completed their writing SOLs, and the rest of the school is preparing for the rest of the SOLs for the rest of the year. We would like to congratulate all of the winter sports that have finally wrapped up and that were recognized in the recognitions portion. And all of our spring sports are off to a great start with a soccer game tonight against Deep Creek at 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Thatcher. Good luck at your game.
Thank you.
I hope you do well. We want to thank everybody for coming. You're welcome to stay. We're going to proceed with our meeting, but now would be a time for you to exit if that's your plan. Thank you again for coming.
Whoever they all give money to, they're trying to spray each other. It's like the Survivor.
That's so funny.
From what someone told me in the sport today.
Can I take one of yours? Sorry. No, you're fine, man. I want one too.
That was not.
Good to see y'all. Congratulations.
Yeah, you're gonna run like
Asking me if I got my degree, Wendy. If I got my degree.
That's sweet. That's good.
Very good. Okay. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And thank you for everybody's patience and helping us get through that, but that is definitely well worthwhile. So, okay, we'll go ahead and get started with our presentation and reports. We have an instruction update. Ms. Brown?
You have to open that one. Someone's one to open it. They're closing.
All right. Good evening, Chair Martin, Vice Chair Burbidge, school board members. Everyone's pointing.
Yeah,
Close the doors.
I don't
Oh,
think we can
we can
close
wait
the
to-
doors. I think they did for the noise.
I know, but I just want to
I didn't know about the TV,
Being
but
recorded.
we're live.
And it's not long.
It's not live.
And I'll welcome
Okay.
you again.
Heather? Yeah, okay.
All right, good evening, everyone, again. And of course, our incredible Poquoson community. We're going to switch things up tonight. We've had the opportunity this evening to highlight the many talents of our students and our staff. And so tonight's instructional report will follow suit by highlighting our STEM program and the impacts that it has on student learning and engagement within our classrooms and within our schools. And I'm so excited. I'm gonna act like that's me. To the middle.
Our K-12 STEM program is designed to inspire curiosity, foster critical thinking, and prepare students for success in an ever-evolving world. By meeting age-appropriate standards of learning and offering diverse opportunities for exploration and growth, we are shaping the STEM leaders of tomorrow. Beginning with our primary school, we introduce our youngest learners to the wonders of STEM. Students engage in hands-on activities, such as exploring the life cycle of plants to meet science standards, while also delving into basic coding concepts to foster computational thinking and problem-solving skills. Moving on to our elementary school, our curriculum builds upon these foundations. Here, students tackle more advanced science projects, such as experimenting with simple machines to understand physics principles, and dive into math challenges that align with state standards, like measuring angles and solving real-world problems using geometry.
There you go, now he's gonna do it.
In our middle school, students continue their STEM journey with a focus on exploration and experimentation. They might participate in engineering challenges such as building and testing bridges to learn about structural integrity, while also mastering concepts in technology by creating multimedia presentations that incorporate coding and digital design. Students are offered electives to expand their interests and participate in hands-on activities directly tied to various science and technology careers. We offer a wide range of STEM courses and pathways to cater students' diverse interests and career aspirations. From advanced biology and calculus classes to career internships, our students are prepared to meet rigorous state standards while also engaging in real-world projects like designing sustainable energy solutions or analyzing complex data sets. Finally, through partnerships with New Horizons Regional Education Center, the Governor's School for Science and Technology, as well as local businesses, museums, hospitals, and community organizations, we provide additional opportunities for our students to excel in STEM. These include internships, mentorship programs, and extracurricular clubs such as Odyssey of the Mind and the Great Computer Challenge, allowing students to apply their skills in meaningful ways beyond the classroom.
As we begin to develop our interdisciplinary curriculum over the next few months, one of our primary focuses is going to be to embed our STEM activities and project-based learning modules, as well as establishing a strong community partnership to support our endeavor. So I look forward to coming back to you and presenting some of those things that we've included in our curriculum. We're really excited to start the process. And that concludes the instructional presentation tonight. Are there any questions? Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you. Operations update, Dr. Ratliff?
Good evening, Madam Chair Martin, Mr. Tillett, and board members. Tonight I have the operations update for you. We're going to start tonight with the calendar. Tonight you have before you an item to vote on, the calendar for the 24-25 school year. To review the guidelines that we have to go by in the development of the calendar. The state law does allow for a pre-Labor Day start 2 weeks prior to Labor Day, unless the school division receives a waiver for weather. That's the only case in which you can begin the school year earlier than that. If you do begin the school year prior to Labor Day, there is a requirement to have the Friday before Labor Day and the Monday after Labor Day as a student holiday. You have to have a minimum of 180 instructional days or 990 teaching hours. And one thing that I did leave out when we discussed this a couple weeks ago at our work session, there is also a requirement for a minimum of 140 clock hours of instruction for credit-bearing courses, basically your courses at the high school and a portion of your courses at the middle school as well. All the regional school divisions began school let me start all over. The whole process began with the regional calendar committee work. Okay, and from that work, what we found out was all of the regional school divisions began school or are going to begin school on August 26th this coming year. Everyone will have the common 3-day Thanksgiving holiday break, and everyone will have a common 2-week winter break from December 23rd to January 3rd, and everyone will have the common spring break of the first full week in April, the 7th through the 11th. So after the work of the Regional Calendar Committee, the input from our staff was garnered, received. We received parent input and we received administrator input. We kind of went back around a couple of times. It wasn't necessarily just straight in this line. We received input, then we worked on it, and we received input and worked on it. And then finally, a couple of weeks ago, we got input from you guys, the board members, in the work session. And that's how you have the calendar that resulted in what you have in front of you tonight. Additionally, a couple of other things that we'd like to review. We did just receive another grant, food service grant for food service equipment. It's a $40,500 grant, and what it will do is it will put a combi oven at Poquoson Primary School. If you remember last year, we received a grant that was, I believe, in excess of $100,000 that put combi ovens in the other schools. These ovens are very efficient. They cook with convection, steam, or a combination of both. So we're very fortunate to be able to get the money to this by way of a grant. And finally, regarding athletics, tonight on your consent agenda is an item to authorize the superintendent to sign a contract for athletic apparel and athletic equipment purchasing. This contract is a culmination of an RFP that we have put out and we've been evaluating for some time now. But essentially what this is going to do is it's going to ensure that we as a school division get the best pricing that we can get the most incentives when purchasing, and it really will streamline the purchasing process for everything to do with athletics. So that's all I have for you tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Firth, is there any public comment?
Yes, I have 2 speakers this evening.
Okay.
First, I have Theodore Imbassiani of 19 Dryden Drive.
Pardon? The Poquoson School Board welcomes public comment during regular meetings. School board members do not respond to public comment during a meeting. All comments should address a matter related to Poquoson Public Schools. The school board will not hear public comment that involves an individual-related student matter, the disclosure of which would violate applicable confidentiality requirements. The school board expects that each speaker will be courteous, modeling for our students how one can respectfully disagree with others' views. Speakers will address their comments to the entire school board and not to one individual board member, nor to the superintendent, a staff member, or the audience. Speakers are encouraged not to engage in personal attacks. Speakers will present their comments from the podium. And to follow school board policy, time allotted shall be 3 minutes. As I think you know.
Thank you. Quick definitions quickly here. Trust, firm reliance, confident belief, faith, custody, care, one committed into the care of another, the condition of having confidence placed in one, responsibility, future hope, to rely, depend, the person or thing in which confidence is placed. Responsibility, the state or fact of being responsible, a person or thing that one is answerable for duty or obligation. Fiduciary, pertaining to the holding of something in trust or held in trust. Having sat in your seats once, I remember having the fiduciary responsibility and trust of that of the students, teachers, and taxpayers. These were the 3 pillars of which board members should be acting upon, making an agreement with all those you are responsible for and continuing that agreement throughout your term. Administrators as well need to adhere to these 3 pillars for the same reason. When you make an agreement with someone and give your word, that is your bond with each other, with the community, and the students. Otherwise, you will have no respect and no support from the community, students, and surrounding districts. Where does this board get its assistance for training? Well, there are basically 2 places. One is the VSBA, the Virginia School Board Alliance. The other is the SBMA, the School Board Members Alliance. That one can be found at mysbma.org. The other one is through the state. Okay? There are 2 different types of thinking from these 2 different services. I'm not going to say that one is better than the other in public. But as entrusted members, you should explore both these and compare, doing your due diligence in investigating what's best for the students, teachers, and taxpayers, and having an informed decision when making a decision with all avenues covered. Remember, once you make an agreement, people will hold you accountable to that agreement. If you go back on that agreement, it might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, but sometime in the future it will come back to haunt you. So be true to your word. Remember the 3 pillars, and remember, you're here for the students, teachers, and taxpayers, and always fulfill your agreement with those who have entrusted you with your roles. Thank you.
Next, I have Sissy Everett of 7 Emmaus Drive.
Good evening. Chairwoman Martin, Assistant Chair Burbidge, board members, everyone in attendance. First, I would like to ask you humbly if I can have a little bit more time than 3 minutes. I want to get through what staff has given me, and I'll probably get through it in 3 minutes, honestly, but I'm up here and my heart's going pow, 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 so I'm not really sure. So if anyone could please make a motion.
Oh, just go and then at 3 minutes.
Oh, that buzzer's going to kill me. Oh, okay. So my name is Sissy Everett, and I did serve on this board, most of you know. And I'm sure you've heard me several times say that teachers are afraid to come and speak before you. So, in my head, if I'm going to talk that talk, I'm going to walk that walk. So here I am. I'm not the best speaker in the world. Don't judge. Let's see. I am speaking for several, or I think many, of my colleagues, many parents, and many community members. Let's see. When I see, I got past that already, see? Okay. So, we currently feel, and when I say we, I'm saying staff, all staff, not just teachers, not just paras, not just bus drivers, all staff, okay? We are currently feeling like we are in a constant battle with school board, parents, and the community to defend our worth. And when I say our worth, I mean, again, everyone's worth that works for PCPS. It's hard, you guys. It's hard to set, Lord have mercy, I've only done 2 minutes. Okay, so we are going to ask that while we appreciate everything you do, and I personally know how hard it is, and I am so glad they did not video work sessions when I was on the board, because we had some very heated ones, and I get it. We're fighting for these children. So I think that we may need to get in our heads that all staff are important. We all are important. We work in concert with each other daily. While staff appreciates your outstanding efforts to increase our salaries, and all of you, I've watched every single meeting, you are fighting. But most of all, Mr. Tillett, I thank you, because I know you're, can someone please make a motion?
I'll make a motion to give her more time.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I second it.
You guys are wonderful,
3
thank
more
you.
minutes.
How many?
3 more.
Come on, give me a
We'll
little
go
bit more.
again.
Okay,
Keep
all
going.
right. So again,
Vote?
I feel like I'm.
Yeah, we're going to call for the vote on the motion. And this,
3-minute extension.
Vice Chair Burbidge.
Aye.
Mr. Childress.
Aye.
Mr. DeVos.
Aye.
Dr. Goodell.
Aye.
Mr. Ingram.
Aye.
Ms. Jones.
Aye.
Chair Martin. Aye. Motion passes, vote is 7-0.
Thank y'all so much, and staff thanks you. Again, I'm gonna start again. While the staff does appreciate every single thing you've done, and that there have been very heated discussions. I've seen them, I understand them. We feel like there's maybe a little bit of a disconnect between the school board, the superintendent, and staff. And so what we're gonna ask is, it feels as though we need to reconnect, collaborate, and foster a really good working relationship instead of the distant. And work for the many and not just the few. Attempting to bring our pay scale up to the national average is admirable. It truly is for a very small city that we have. However, we believe our city council is unparalleled with their generosity year after year. Unlike our neighboring school divisions, our small city is just that. It's a small city. And with that small city charm, it comes the fact that we have a limited tax base. And our generous city council gives us as much as they possibly can. And we don't believe giving the city council an ultimatum would benefit our community nor our school system. So we ask that you consider that before you do make that move, if it's even going to be made. We've also heard whispers, and you know how a small community is. We hear whispers that this board is considering a RIF. We would also ask that you not consider a reduction in force. With the current national teacher and education shortage, eliminating positions or not filling positions would cost staff to have even more on their plate, and obviously with less pay than other cities. And while we would like to get paid more, honestly, we would certainly not want to jeopardize our students' learning by increasing class sizes and not filling positions or reducing staff. We thank you for that consideration. On another note, and this is going to be my last note, so CJ, quit laughing. The next thing is, I would like, well, first of all, do you guys get a copy of our staff council meeting? You do. So you see what we're discussing. Beautiful. So the next thing I want to discuss is the calendar. I was on that committee. And again, we, as a committee, feel like we have to defend our worth.
Your time limit.
Can someone please? I'm finished.
I make a motion that we extend the time another 3 minutes.
I'll second.
Ms. Firth, will you please call for the vote?
Vice Chair Burbidge.
Aye.
Mr. Childress.
Aye.
Mr. DeVos.
Aye.
Dr. Goodell. Mr. Ingram.
Aye.
Ms. Jones.
Aye.
Chair Martin.
Aye.
Motion passes, vote is 7-0.
Again, staff thanks you. So I was on that committee, and again, we feel like we have to defend our worth. We spent a tremendous amount of time working on that calendar. We had what I call a guru, Brandon Ratliff. He's made tens of hundreds of calendars. He guided us through the process. So we were so comfortable with our decision on Wednesday half-days, because on Friday, you are not going to get them children in that building. And staff, they're going to take long weekends. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. That's why it was switched to Wednesdays. And we need to give those children as much class time, class instruction as we possibly can. So I would ask you to consider our time, our effort, the approval of the PCPS staff and the parents on that committee. And before you make any decisions with regard to the calendar, and solidifying it, I ask you rethink the Fridays. It's just not going to work. It's not. And I thank you so much for giving me the time I needed.
Okay. We'll move to the consent agenda.
The consent agenda tonight consists of 6 parts. Approval of closed financial reports, authorization to change appropriation and to accept and expend funds in accordance with attached request, approval of personnel action, approval of minutes for February's regular meeting and work session, approval to dispose of surplus property, approval to authorize the superintendent to sign the contract for athletic apparel and equipment purchasing with Brand RPM LLC, Achieve Athletics.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as written?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So I have a question as far as the athletic apparel and equipment. Is that factored into the new budget as well, those numbers?
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Ms. Firth, will you please call the vote?
Vice Chair Burbidge?
Aye.
Mr. Childress?
Aye.
Mr. DeBose?
Aye.
Dr. Goodell?
Aye.
Mr. Ingram?
On the advice of legal counsel, I abstain from this vote since it may affect any current or prospective employee performance or employment whereby I could personally be held liable for any damages or injuries.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Chair Martin?
Aye.
Motion passes. Vote is 5-1-1.
501.
I think it's 601. You want to recall? Would you like to recall for the vote? Six zero one.
601.
Thank you. Okay, other matters for consideration. We have, is there a motion for approval of proclamations for Military Child Month and Week of the Young Child?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, so I have a question. The Week of the Young Child, it seems to have started this year, correct? Because all the previous years, we've only had just the month of the military child?
Yeah, this is a new movement around to encourage education for young children. And this was a request from our IPOP program staff.
And who wrote the resolution?
It was submitted by that group.
Because it seems like the last background of whereas is just gaslighting the budget because of, the things that it says. It's not related to the child. It's talking about pay of teachers.
It doesn't have anything to do with our budget. There's no monetary effect to this. This was written by, a group who are promoting the Week of the Early Child, Week of Young Children.
I understand it doesn't have anything to do with the budget. It's just, it talks about the pay of teachers when it's supposed to be a proclamation on young children.
I don't
see
the
that.
budget concern. Right. Proclamation Week of the Young Child?
So this is the
Language in the proclamation.
third
Final whereas.
whereas.
Third whereas.
Educators need the ability to earn a family-sustained wage that is, so is that?
Commensurate.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see
but that's
what
where
you're
it's
talking
at, the family-sustained wage, is that what you're talking about?
This is about families, not our employees. Just for clarification.
Ability to earn family-sustained.
Families. Okay, I got you, okay. Okay.
Any other discussion? Ms. Firth, would you please call for the vote?
Vice Chair Burbidge,
Aye.
Mr. Childress,
Aye.
Rose,
Aye.
Dr. Goodell,
Aye.
Mr. Ingram,
Aye.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Chair Martin. Motion passes, vote is 7-0.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve to utilize approximately $155,000 remaining in the school construction funds issued pursuant to the 2022-2024 biennial budget from VDOE for the purchase and installation of a playground at Poquoson Elementary School?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question. Was the playground on the capital improvement plan, the 5-year capital improvement plan?
It was not.
And these funds can't be used for anything on the capital improvement plan?
It can be.
And so I get that, you know, we want to jump our process, but we always typically hold that capital improvement plan in high esteem when we ever try to say, can something be punted or whatever. That's just the question there. That's just the comment I have there. It's a need, but there's a lot.
Just for clarification, as we talked about in the work session, again, not to persuade in any direction on this, these funds can be used for very specific things, and most of the things in that price range on our capital plan are nowhere close to this range. Like, for example, you can't buy a school bus with these funds. It's used specifically for construction projects, and it was a one-time pot of money distributed to school divisions by allotment, and the amount left was a small amount left over from our massive projects at the primary school with the roof and the HVAC. Just for clarification, in our capital plan, it would be a very specific thing it could be used for, and it would have to be added to larger sum of money to do any significant project on our plan.
But with our city having the budget and us being tight, which we all agree that it is tight, could they amend what they've approved for next year to be 140 or 155,000 less to put this there so we can show the city that we are trying to work with them to help with the budget too, instead of just taking all their generosity to us? We probably should give back at least sometimes. So it would be feasible to do that on our big plans if we wanted to.
I think what I think I hear Mr. Tillett saying is, because of the specificity of the funds, we would have to determine where they could go.
And we could do that. He shook his head, yes, that's feasible to do that.
If there's a project that matches.
They have the 2 gym floor resurfacings were $50,000. I mean, there are smaller ticket items on there that were on the 5-year plan. I get, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire, and you want to put that fire out first, but, you know, and we never went to the capital improvement plan and say, let's revisit this and put it in year 1, because it's now become such an emergency. And I have, you know, I talk to elementary school kids all the time. A lot of it's more about a restrictive recess than it is a playground. The frustrations that you're hearing, I think. So, I mean, I think those are just issues. Again, I mean, I'm just bringing them up before we vote. I mean, I'm down either way.
Also, we've had speakers here to talk about the playground needs as well. People who have monitored the playground.
I've seen it. It's not, there's a lot of broken apparatus on there that's not usable.
Right.
Not saying it's not a need. It's just we've had processes in the past that, you know, as far as the improvement plan and touching that, and, you know, it's just odd that there's one thing comes and frogs everybody else, so.
Any other?
So like the AC that we're doing in the roof, that could be supplemented into that 100%, and we could give the city back, if they amended that 145 that they put aside for us, if we need to.
I think the concern that I would have with doing that is the purchasing power of that $155,000 will go down dramatically, because the HVAC and the roofing is, Mr. Ratliff, or Dr. Ratliff, 3 years from now.
So, not this coming summer, but the summer after that is HVAC, and I believe the roof is the subsequent year.
So, you know, with my experience in the construction industry, we've seen almost 30% in 3 years.
So that's gonna get spent anyway by the city. I mean, we're still gonna be having to spend the city's money. That's my concern, is spending the city's money next year when we have this year, and we're going to jump a plan that we have a 5-year plan. We're gonna jump because this money's here, but we have gone all around saying we are a small town and we have to conserve and make sure that we are very smart with our money and make it work. So is jumping a 5-year plan, is this something that came up that we've all discussed and said, you know what, this is something that we all feel like right now this needed to jump up, and if we had the money, we would take it from capital to use this anyway? Or is this something that we have the money, we should just spend it? Or is it something that we should probably think about and focus on and talk to the city about and see what they feel about our capital purchases, or should we just spend this money because it's there?
And then just another point, again, not trying to persuade in any way, just to throw this out there as another item for discussion. We will be revisiting the capital plan as we always do in the early fall. It's been moved up, the time frame. I think we start that process in early October, maybe even late September for next year. My guess is, from the conversations we've had, this will be an immediate conversation, if it's not passed tonight, to add it to the agenda. So it may be just a feat of semantics in some way of when this time frame happens. My guess is this board will approve the amendment of the CIP, because it will certainly be, if it's not passed tonight, our recommendation to add it on CIP in an early year. So it may happen that way anyway, and that will certainly make the process done with fidelity, but I don't think it changes the outcome.
The 2024 roof replacement, that's already finished, the 1.1 million?
Correct.
The primary, and so the 2025 middle gym floor resurfacing, 2025.
I think we punted that in part of the budget stuff, isn't it?
The boiler replacement, is that already been done too, the 450, that's 2024?
Again, the boiler replacement was approved by the city to not replace the boilers, but instead do a total HVAC system rehaul. Those funds were already approved in their capital plan for next year.
So it's not sure.
2.5 million, I believe. 2.8.
So I also feel that, I'm just going to say that the playground at the elementary school is dysfunctional at best. A lot of broken parts and pieces. There are a lot of kids there that would desperately enjoy having a play on. Not all kids want to, it's very restrictive on the playground right now because of trees and things like that.
So does this include removing the old playground? This cost, is this removing the old playground?
No, we'll continue to work on improving that playground over the years. That's part of our maintenance process. Our playgrounds are inspected annually, so this would be an additional area.
So we're still going to have that playground, so the concern's still going to be there for your playground, but we're building another playground. Is this behind the school, this playground?
That's the schematic at this point.
We'll have kids playing in front and behind, so we'll still be using the old one. And then
We
we'll
do
get
have
new
that
one.
right now, I believe. I think it's just, there's nothing in the back at the moment. So there is currently the need, I believe, to split the children front and back. It's just there is no equipment in the back at the moment.
So do we need funds to fix, if you're saying that we need to fix that one, do we need funds for that too? Are we looking at that as something that's coming up?
Again, the maintenance of the playgrounds are part of our annual budget. We maintain the playgrounds. They need some work. We carve out pieces of money to make sure that they are safe is the main thing. And they're inspected annually and approved safe. They just need some work, or particularly this playground. But adding the second playground gives opportunity to have a new, nice playground and the other playground that we will maintain over the years.
But the inspector came in and he didn't like the old playground.
Yeah, the question is not about do we like the playground or how great it is it safe? The inspection is primarily for safety. It was not deemed unsafe. It's not the best playground.
Could we shift the funds to fix that one and build another one, or is it something that we should just build the other one and not worry about this one? Are we jumping, my worry is we're jumping the gun because we don't have the full knowledge, because some people are saying this other one needs to go because we're putting one there, and then it's actually we're keeping that one there, and we are going to have to repair that one there, but we're putting another one somewhere else. like I said, it's just a concern to think about.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Firth, will you please call for the vote?
Vice Chair Burbidge,
Aye.
Mr. Childress,
Hey,
Mr. DeBose,
Aye.
Dr. Goodell,
Nay.
Mr. Ingram,
Nay.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Chair Martin. Aye. Motion passes. Vote is 4-3.
Thank you. And our final other matter for consideration, is there a motion for approval of the 2024-2025 academic calendar?
so are we going to do this one and the Wednesdays, or are we just going to go with the Friday one to approve? Are we going to have options?
Is there a motion, is the first question.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Do we want to have discussion to move back to Wednesday, or do we want to make sure we just stick with the Fridays? That's my question. If we think teachers are going to not go and students are not going to go on Fridays, is that going to be the valid argument that we had before? My first vote when we talked about this was to have Fridays as full days. That's what I wanted, but that would add 3 extra days to the end of the year, which we said was not fair to teachers, which I 100% agree on. Are we still comfortable with worrying about parents taking their kids out on this Friday for 3-day weekends, which that's why I wanted the full-day Fridays, is so they could have 3-day weekends. If that's a valid concern, then it might be something we need to discuss and talk about. Or teachers taking it off and using that as a sick day because they only get out for a half a day, or the students are only out for a half a day. That's a great day to take them out, and are we setting that up to have 3-day weekends? That's
I mean,
something we've
I
got to
think
decide.
we've talked about that. We've talked about it. I don't know what, there are pros and cons. I think we've discussed the pros of a full Friday, having to go 3 extra days. I think we've talked about the cons of having a half day on Friday. We've talked about the cons of having a half day on Wednesday. We've discussed all of those matters. What we have in front of us was the consensus of what at our last work session, we kind of talked about was what we agreed upon was to move that half day to Friday. So that's what's proposed in here, is the half days on Fridays. That was what we discussed and said we would like to move forward with at our work session.
I thought we were getting an option in vote A or B, or that we were talking about.
Just to recall from that work session, there was a lot of conversation about a lot of different options. We came to you, as we always do, with the calendar recommended by the committee through a lot of work. That calendar has the Wednesday half-days. From the conversation in the work session, it became apparent that there was a consensus among this board to move those days to Friday. We have both calendars available. One calendar has the days on Wednesdays, the other calendar on Friday. There's really no difference in the two calendars. So you could feasibly tonight, through your debate, decide which you want to land on, but we really do need to approve a calendar tonight.
It's a tough one. I mean, and as we discussed, I mean, that I think we landed on, or I know I landed on, the Wednesdays are hard, and hard on parents, but I hear the concern about the staff, and so I think this was our attempt, without going on the full Friday, full days, and lengthening the school year, to try this and see how it goes, knowing the concern that there is a real possibility that these Fridays, attendance will be of concern. So it's hard. I don't know.
So they're both, I think they're both in here.
I don't see the Wednesday, but
Is
I
that
know the
39?
Wednesday. I have it here anyway. I just, like I said.
39, I think 39 has the, it's hard to see because it's sideways?
39 is the staff calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the other one, but like I said, I was the one who was pushing for full-day Fridays to give the teachers a full day, because I've heard that these half days, getting the kids on the bus, going back, clean the room. They've probably heard that it really doesn't get full, and then you get around each other and y'all talk and discuss a little bit first, but I agree, 3 extra days did not work. And so between these two, I would say probably the Wednesday, because the concern when we voted, when we were on the board, when we first decided that was the same concern we had when we talked about it 3 or 4 years ago when we first went to these half days right after COVID. That's why I just wanted to make sure that we are thinking about that before we go into our vote. I think you were there already when we had that. That was our biggest discussion when we went to the half days with COVID, and that's why we picked Wednesdays.
Again, I've said it since we started having this discussion about the half days. The half days are a way that we can accomplish something with our staff that we can't do any other way. And our staff is universally in support of it. The debate about Fridays is exclusively about attendance. And now with the state push, with chronic absenteeism, I have said every time this topic comes up, I'm concerned about moving him to Friday. I get the reason why, but the reasons why pale in comparison to the need for high-quality instruction, and if large numbers of students and even staff are not there for instruction, it's less quality. So I have campaigned for them to not be on Fridays. I experienced this in a previous school division, and attendance is significantly worse on Fridays anyway. And then you make it a half day, it's more of a challenge. So that's, and you've heard from a representative from the committee that every year we vet this through a committee that does include parents and staff from all of our schools and all different job titles. And the original calendar we brought to you was their calendar.
So if I put an amendment to change it to the Wednesdays, I just have to get someone to second it?
Just make a motion and second.
So I'll make a motion to change it back to the Wednesdays. What? Amendment. A motion, I'll make it's a motion to make an amendment to change it back, or is it, nope, just an amendment to change it back to Wednesdays. Does that work?
Essentially, the calendar
So-
as originally presented?
So, yes.
Okay.
So the amendment is
Go back to the original calendar that was given to us with Wednesday half days.
okay. So is there a motion to approve that?
There has to be a second, and if there's not, then there's no vote.
I second it.
Okay. Ms. Firth, please call for the vote.
Vice Chair Burbidge,
Aye.
Mr. Childress,
Aye.
Mr. DeBose,
Aye.
Dr. Goodell,
Nay.
Mr. Ingram,
On the advice of legal counsel, I abstain from this vote since it may affect any current or prospective employee performance or employment whereby I could be personally liable for any damages or injuries.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Chair Martin,
Aye.
611.
Okay, so this,
Is that what you said?
what's up?
I think it was.
511?
511. Okay. All right, this concludes our other matters for consideration. We will now move to the public hearing on the superintendent's proposed budget for FY '25.
Just a few comments before we bring up our Director of Finance, Ms. Spence, to talk through the highlights of the budget. As you know, the budget has been posted since our last work session publicly, and this is opportunity to anyone who would like to speak from the public on the budget. It is a comprehensive budget with a lot of pieces that she'll talk about today. The General Assembly has finished their work, so there's quite a bit in there that could affect this budget, and that's something for us to be aware of and can be amended down the road as that budget becomes law with the signature of the governor. So there's a lot of moving parts still, but we, as you know, have to approve this budget tonight so that we can deliver it to the city by ordinance, and they're anxiously awaiting. So, Ms. Spence?
down, but we'll go ahead and start.
Here
Here we go. All right, excellent. Good evening, Madam Chair Martin and members of the board. Tonight's presentation is just a summary of the superintendent's final proposed budget, which incorporates those items we discussed during the March 5th work session for purposes of this public hearing. To get a brief overview of the whole budget process, we kicked off the budget kickoff in October, and budget submissions were received from the principals and directors from their staff input in November, and they did a great job on that. In December and January, the governor released his fiscal year 25 proposed budget in late December, and the superintendent presented his original proposed budget in January during the school board work session. In February, it was formally presented, the full budget, in the February school board work session. And then it was followed up in March with amendments pursuant to board directives presented in the March 5th school board work session. The budget was posted for public review as required. Tonight we're holding the public hearing, and by the end of March, we have to submit the school board's approved budget to the city manager. In April 22nd, there's a joint school board and city council work session to discuss the school board's approved budget. The General Assembly included a compensation increase of 3% over the 24-26 biennium for SOQ funded positions. And this budget amendment is now on the governor's desk. School divisions across the area are considering a range of compensation increases between 3 and 5%. The school's proposed budget includes a 5% compensation increase for all employees. So for budget highlights, as just discussed, there's a 5% increase for all employees, as well as increase for numerous non-athletic supplements pursuant to the supplement audit, and they were discussed during the March 5th work session. For operating, the majority of requests for materials and supplies, equipment, software, professional development training, and other services from principals, directors, and staff have been honored. Now, this is an overview of the difference between the state funding between the FY25 proposed and the FY24. There was an increase in SOQ funding of approximately $2.7 million, with a decrease of $1.7 in incentive and categorical funding, which primarily revolves around the compensation supplement and hold harmless funding. There was an increase in lottery-funded programs of $90,000, as well as increase in other state grants of $120,000, leaving a net increase of $1.1 million. Other revenues that have increased is federal grants in the amount of $243,000, as well as increase in miscellaneous and in-school of $32,000, to give us a total increase of all revenues of $1.4. We net to the 1.4, the $1.9 million with an increase in expenditures. That leaves a net deficit, budget shortfall of $508,000, which is what we're requesting from the city. Just gives a general overview of where your expenditures lie and what broad categories that we have to maintain according to state standards. Well, you'll notice over at the far right, 73% of it is in instruction. To give us a total of our budget that we're presenting, the superintendent's proposing tonight, is $30,572,840. As mentioned earlier, a request of $508,738 from the city of Poquoson is included in this budget to support the compensation increase for all employees. And now, do you have any questions? And follow with the public hearing.
I have one question. Just going back, you said on the governor's desk is a 3%. I think earlier ones we were talking about was only a 1% bonus? Is that 3% for the second year, or like where's that?
No, the way the General Assembly came back, they got rid of the bonus, and in lieu of that, it's going to be 3% over both years in the biennium. So that would be fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26.
So is that a 1.5 and we do a 1.5, or is that 3%?
Yes, 1.5. It'll be 3% state.
Okay, so
1.5.
Did we have to do 3% to match it?
Yes.
And so in this budget, did that 500-some thousand from the city, or did that count in now that we're projecting an increase from the state? That number has not changed from the city, but there's more money coming in from the state now projected.
Right. What's included in the budget, we start with what's coming in from the state, and what they're going to give us is based on ADM, period. And then I add the federal and the local, the federal and other local, and then you look at your expenditures as we have done and trying to cut it down in order to minimize as much as possible how much the local, your city is going to have to pony up.
In the last meeting, we said that we put off a lot of expenditures.
Exactly.
Is that back in, or is that still?
It's taken out because originally we were asking for $600-some thousand from the city, so we reduced it. So that's the difference, is exactly what we discussed in the meeting. Yes.
So I was looking at the salaries, and I saw something out of place. The superintendent salary, $20,336. What is that? Because there's 169,000 deducted from that, but it's included 240,520 in the salaries, but that would only equal a difference of $91,000.
Yeah, I would have to check that.
Where's that
It's
located?
on page 46, section 8, page 46. Yes, the superintendent salary should show is $189,337,000 for the 23-24 original budget. He gets the same salary increase as all the other ones, as all employees, so that number should actually be 3% more than that. So that is my error. But the total is correct. The total between the salaries and superintendent salaries is correct for the division-wide administrative.
So it's still 189.
It'd be 189 plus 3%.
Okay.
Plus 3%. He gets the same, the superintendent of Poquoson City Public Schools gets the same increase.
But we're getting 5%, aren't we, or are we
I'm
giving
sorry,
3%?
5%.
So it's 5% out there.
Yes, I'm sorry, 5. Yeah.
I mean, if we approve this budget tonight, you would only be getting $20,000.
Maybe that's all I'm worth.
That's 46.
Are we not missing out on a 6% raise if they're doing 3 and we're supposed to miss 3? Are we doing like 2.5 and 2.5 with the 5?
What's built into the budget is 5.
Okay.
5%.
We're doing, if the state's allowing for 3, but we're going to put 2.5.
Yeah, just to clarify that, we build our budget around, sorry.
That's okay.
We build our budget with the budget that we have at the time, and we're doing this in November, which was the governor's budget, which had a 1% bonus. So all we were counting on for compensation was the 1% bonus one time for this year, knowing that it would obligate the city to reoccurring funds if we transferred that bonus amount to a salary amount, which was our intention. We then decided that we wanted to go for a pay raise, and we landed on the 5% as a reasonable pay raise and trying to be competitive with neighboring school divisions. That was our conversation. So this budget is built around that. The clarification in what's happening in the General Assembly is their budget, which landed at 3%. We didn't have any way of knowing where that was when we built our budget. Our budget reflects the 1% for this year only. But additional revenue from the city to make that reoccurring at 5% annually. So what we anticipate happening if the governor signs the budget or that line item that includes the compensation, then the city will receive, we will receive half of that roughly. So that will be 1.5%, and then the city would make up the difference. So again, our budget is presented to the city knowing that all of that's going to change. If you'll recall last year, this tug of war happened throughout the summer. So the final budget was not actually approved until September. So those funds predictably will change as to what the revenue side of that looks like. Our budget doesn't change what we're asking for, I think is the question. Our budget is our budget. It goes to the city, and they're going to try to make that happen. But what we get from the city is from the state, may be a moving target, because the state budget is not resolved yet until the governor signs it. And again, I don't think there's any major hope that that's going to happen quickly. All the things I'm hearing is that that process is going to be debated over some time. There's a lot of big-ticket items in that budget that both sides are passionate about, I'll say that. So I do think we're going to see additional money coming from Richmond in this state side of the budget, but it's hard to tell what that's going to look like. So I was a long answer to that question, but this is a moving target. And so we will probably be coming back to you again as we work with the city to revise this budget. That usually happens. If you'll recall, we amended this twice last year, our request, depending on what happened in the evolving budget in Richmond.
What happened with the superintendent's salaries underneath it? Because the salaries underneath it is $828,371 now. And the one above it is the $20,336 on the budget that's posted for the public. That's not the budget we have. That's the
That is correct.
So what's the underneath one? Because the other underneath one went up more than the 169, I thought.
So to put it simply, the 20,336 is an error.
Okay.
If you add the 20,336, which is for the superintendent's salary, and the salaries underneath it of $828,371,
Okay.
that adds to the total salaries for the FTEs for the people who are employed under the district-wide cost center.
Is that another way, code 1112 and 1000
Yes.
together are the same budget?
That is correct.
And who all does that cover under salaries?
For division-wide,
Right.
that is primarily the individuals up in the school board office, with the exception of some that may be a little bit funded with federal funds. Any other questions? Thank you.
Is there any public comment on the budget? All right, is there a motion to approve the superintendent's proposed budget for fiscal year 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Firth, please call the vote.
Aye.
Mr. Childress?
Nay.
Mr. DeVos?
Aye.
Dr. Goodell?
Nay.
Mr. Ingram?
On the advice of legal counsel, I abstain from this vote since it may affect any current or prospective employee's performance or employment whereby I could personally become liable for any damages or injuries.
Ms. Jones?
Aye.
Chair Martin?
Aye.
Motion passes. Vote is 4-1.
Communications or other matters by school board and/or superintendent. Mr. Ingram?
All right, I'd like to congratulate the Senior of the Month, Miss Smith. I want to congratulate all the sports teams, the swim team, the indoor track, and the wrestling team for all the trophies and titles that they brought home. And congratulate the Scholastics Bowl participants for state runner-up. And want to thank Mr. Parker for all the time and effort that he puts into photographing the sports, and just want to thank him for the dedication that he has for that. And that's it.
Dr. Dale?
Yeah, so I wanted to thank Ms. Spence and the administrative team for all the effort they put forth in the budget. Given the constraints and parameters, I do trust that, that was the best budget, especially when large personnel. I believe that all your intentions are good and meaning to do best by the district employees. My reservations and any opposition to the budget really come from, one, my duty to the citizens to advocate for the best schools. Two, my professional knowledge of what factors contribute most to student success. It's been studied to oblivion, time after time. External factors such as socioeconomic status and parental involvement have the biggest impact on student achievement. The single most influential variable on student learning outcomes for a school district is teacher quality. That's the one thing we can control. Luckily, our schools have been blessed with so many excellent educators over the years, and there are plenty of metrics to support that. However, I can't really continue to serve this board in good conscience without attempting to advocate for appropriate pay for these educators. I could be wrong, but I don't think our teachers continually appreciate being told to take the Tom Brady discount. That is to perform at the top of your profession, but be expected to take a home-down discount to continue to be employed. Teaching is challenging regardless of location. We're going to grow in size, and even more challenges will present themselves as we grow. I've initiated my own educational research to help demonstrate how undervalued our teachers are at Poquoson compared to their peers across the Commonwealth. Utilizing statistics most of you probably don't understand with sabermetrics, like similar to baseball, win above replacement. I accounted for the cost of living. Newsflash, it's not cheap to live in Poquoson. Our municipality's poverty level, there's more in Poquoson than you think, all right? And these create the most challenges for our schools. Looked at the average teacher salary and our student performances in math, science, and literacy over 5 years. And so my results so far in this preliminary research, we're undervalued by 24% compared to a baseline average paid, average performing teacher in Virginia. Right? York County's comparison is right in line. And again, that's equivalent to paying the Tom Brady of teachers the average salary, not the top echelon of salaries of appreciation. But even then, York County is falling short as well. I'm happy to discuss these current findings, and as I dig more with anybody, any citizen, any colleague, whatever. In short, I think we owe it to our faculty and staff to close this gap. That takes more than the typical annual budget allows. I know this process, okay, that we can account for. The money's not there to do and close the gap that we need to. It's my duty to see if there's will among the public, to see if there's advocating for fair pay. That may mean getting more creative with revenue. This initiative needs to start. While there are board members willing to try to push the status quo, this is my third budget, kind of my third, I want to call it disappointment, but third kind of just, we're here, we're going to pass it, nothing big is going to happen, right? So, again, if I'm wrong and the public is generally satisfied, I'll humbly note my misunderstanding and move on. But as long as I'm serving, I'm going to try to advocate that we try to find and be more creative and get our teachers paid to where they're deserved. Okay? And then echoing Mr. Ingram, all the sports, students, that's what we're all here for. And we're beginning a meeting with all those great accolades. We'll keep fighting to keep our schools great.
Childress?
I'd like to thank all the sports too. My big reservation with the budget too is if you look at our teachers, and I want to give everybody raises, but right now our teachers with 0 years of experience are 14, teachers with 1 year is 9, teachers with 2 years is 8, teachers with 3 years are 8. Those are our highest numbers, and those are all within less than 5 years of teaching. We've been told many times that the well is drying up. People are not going into teaching anymore. And right now, all we're doing is relying on getting these new teachers out. If that well dries up, I've got some concerns. And if we just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it down the thing, it's going to be somebody's problem at some point because we didn't look at it at that time. And I think I've tried having extra meetings. I think at some point, we're going to have to get very creative on how we do this. It's not ask the city for money, it's work together. Part of the thing was me with the playground was saying, hey, let's work together and try figuring this out. I understand there's constraints. I understand we don't have time to do everything. I understand we gave a lot of raises because of COVID, and the city has been very good to our teachers, but it's still happening, and I don't know a way to fix this, and I don't know if it's a money thing because the teachers we have do a great job. They are very good. My kids love every single one of them, so it's nothing against the teachers at all. I think all the employees should get paid, but those numbers very frighten me. So that's why my reservation was there. I did also have another concern that was brought to me by my constituents, and I felt I needed to ask that question. And so that question is for you, Artie. They're coming to me and asking me that, are you or have you ever participated in filming a TV show since you've been the Poquoson superintendent?
No, I have not.
Okay.
There was if they're questioning a pilot project that happened involving one of my children. There was a pilot project that was filmed on the Outer Banks, and I was asked to be a part of a pilot project. It didn't actually make a TV show, and it was pretty apparent that that was not going to happen. But there was a pilot project that was launched on the Outer Banks a few years back.
Okay. Is that an educational program, or is it?
No, it is not.
Age appropriate for our kids, do you think, or is it?
It's not a program. It didn't. It's just there is no program.
Okay. So it's not going to see. It's just was y'all just doing something.
It was a family event that does not. There is no TV show.
Okay.
Although to clarify, my son was asked to participate in a project to develop a TV show that did not happen.
Ms. Jones?
I want to thank Ms. Spence and everyone at the school board office, Mr. Tillett as well, for all of the work on the budget. I think everyone up here has spent a lot of time. It is not an easy process, and it is certainly a very time-consuming one. So thank you for that. Wanted to congratulate Ms. Smith for the Senior of the Month, as well as to echo the prior comments on our sports successes. Really, really great to see swimming, indoor track, wrestling, as well as the Scholastic Bowl were just really nice. And also a personal thank you to Glenn Parker. The gift of those photos to so many families is really tremendous, and I see it through our high school sports on down to our youth sports, and I personally have saved some of my own children that he has captured, and I value that gift, and we thank him for that, or I thank him for that personally.
Want to thank all the students that came here today. We really do have both great academics and great sports in this great city of ours, so it was really great to see everyone and all the achievements that everyone came forward with. I want to also thank Mr. Tillett and all of his staff for all the effort that they went through with the budget. You know, this group up here definitely put them through the ringer as regard to the various questions that we all had regarding the budget and the calendar. So I want to thank everyone for that. And also I want to thank all of my fellow school board members for all the time served and all the discussions that we've had, because I think it really shows that we all can turn around and have good discussions and discourse related to matters that we may all not agree with. So I want to thank everybody for that.
Dr. Burbidge?
I'd like to thank Ms. Smith as the Senior of the Month. I'd like to also thank Parker for being an amazing photographer. Those pictures go a long way for parents that can't necessarily be at sporting events or school activities. So it's, you're like me, you can't take a picture with your cell phone without getting your finger in the way. The struggle is real. I'd also like to thank all the participants in the winter sports, swimming, more track, wrestling, basketball. We had a lot of great sporting activities this winter. I got to go see a few of them. I really enjoyed it. I also want to congratulate all the members that did, better than I ever did in sports, at the state level. Congratulations to their parents and their coaches for supporting them. Members of the Scholastic Bowl team, they took second in the state. That's awesome. Also, he's not here right now, but last weekend I worked at the Tidewater Regional Science Fair, and I got to view Thatcher's Science Fair project as a member of the Governor's School. He competed in the Plant Sciences Division and looked at the effects of caffeine on plants. Great poster. It was unfortunately not in the section that I was judging, but I did stop by and look at him and talk to it. Look at the poster and talk to him. Also, I had the privilege of attending the CTE meeting at the high school this past month. There are a number of amazing opportunities available for both our students and for adult volunteers. We need industry leaders to get involved in the CTE program. I wear two hats, my real job and then this job, and so I kind of have to flip back and forth, but we've got a lot of really ingenious, really good business leaders. We need to sort of start tapping into that as a school system, and it'd be great if folks would start volunteering. I'd also like to draw attention to all of the PCPS staff and teachers who are providing amazing opportunities for our students through this program. Our kids are getting a lot out of it, and I'd like to congratulate them. Lastly, I want to thank our speakers, Ms. Everett and Mr. Imbasiani. I always appreciate when you guys come. You hold our feet to the fire, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
I echo the sentiments of my fellow board members. Congratulations to all of the students who were coaches and parents who were acknowledged today for their accomplishments. It's not easy, and it certainly takes a community to have the success that we saw today. That's not by happenstance, that's with intention. And we're very fortunate to have that many students have that success. I think that's what helps you be successful in life. I accredit a lot of my success to my participation in athletics in this city and a lot of lessons that I learned there. So I'm grateful to all of those students, parents, and coaches as well. I would like to say thank you to the high school staff for the spring fling. That came from nowhere, but my kids really, and their friends, it was like out of nowhere, and then everybody had such a great time, so really appreciate the opportunity for the kids to get together. They enjoyed it very much, so thank you, Mr. Roberts, and to the team that made that happen. Thank you to Ms. Spence, Mr. Tillett, for the budget work, multiple questions, and multiple meetings. Appreciate, your time and efforts on that. Look forward to our meeting on the 22nd with the city, and thanks.
My turn?
Mr. Tillett?
Again, echo all of the congratulations. To see the room packed like that tonight is extraordinary and a great sign of an incredible school division that does really good things for children. And we're very proud of all of their hard work. They're amazing young people. Also want to thank Ms. Spence and all of our staff for a heavy lift in this budget process. It's a lot of work that goes into it, and we appreciate very much all of the input we've gotten. All budgets fall short. You're never going to have enough money to do all you want to do for kids, but this budget is comprehensive. It has a lot in it with a reasonable price tag to get a lot of work done toward an ambitious strategic plan that we're working on. I also want to make a special comment tonight. You may recall we had a budget work session some time ago, maybe a month or so ago, and in the conversation it came up about a project that a parent spoke about at the board meeting just prior, with a lot of fundraising going on at the primary school for a outdoor classroom. Well, in that work session, as we were talking about it, I made a comment about that the project was not as far along as indicated. Well, I was wrong. So I want to apologize to Ms. Overby, who's here tonight, who's done some incredible work with a team of folks, of parents in that building. I was misinformed, did not realize how far the project had come along. They've raised over $17,000, I believe, toward this end, and the project is going to happen. We're very excited about it. There was a meeting very recently. We're in the final stages, I'm told now, of getting this project off the ground with some very significant donations in money and in kind to make this happen. So we're excited, but I want to thank Ms. Overby and the members of the PTO at the primary school for all of their hard work in this. It is extraordinary, and it also goes to celebrate the legacy of someone that's near and dear to all of our hearts, Ms. Barbara Riggins, who served our school community and families for many, many years. So thank you.
Is there any material for board review?
No, ma'am.
And we stand adjourned. Thank you.